Yo, what's good with y'all, man? It's your boy Kid Max, and today we got another one. All right, y'all, it's your boy Kid Max. You know what we're here to do another quick news break, another dope story that most people probably ain't talking about for real. And we're gonna get straight to it, man. So before we do that, make sure y'all hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and make sure y'all leave a comment after this video and let me know what y'all thinking. All right. Now let's get straight to this news. All right. So let's get to it. We're gonna do this one right here. We're gonna get straight to it because I told y'all in that previous video I did about Floyd Mayweather that I had seen this article, but I didn't know if I was gonna talk about it or not. I hadn't really read it yet. I haven't read it yet still, but I know a little bit of what's about, what it's about now. But when I seen the Floyd Mayweather article and they referenced that Floyd Mayweather had invested into NASCAR, I knew that I needed to read this to you guys because I felt like it's gonna reflect the trend that we're gonna see in certain sports like baseball as well. So let me go ahead and get to the story for you guys really quickly and bring y'all that dope shit. You feel me? All right. So let's go ahead and read this. You know what I'm saying? We got the legend right here, MJ 23. You know what I'm saying? My dude got the whole brand. This shit about to get deep. Let's see what they're talking about. All right. So and only 50 people has read this. This came out March 2nd. You know, that's crazy. Or not read, but whatever. It's more than 50, but doesn't matter. Anyway, Michael Jordan has idea for NASCAR. Fans react. What's they talking about? Basketball legend Michael Jordan is now a NASCAR co-owner. Okay, he already in the ownership. I should know. And apparently, he has an interesting financial model he wants the sport to try. According to Jordan's financial advisor, Curtis Polk, his Airness wants to help NASCAR teams become less reliant on sponsors and find revenue through additional avenues such as media. Interesting. Polk says he, along with Jordan and his 23 10 or 2311, what, let me see, I think that's 20, I think I forget exactly what that number that numeral what's that stand for? Hold on, let me look it up real quick, guys. Give me a second. I just do these things because I have to do it. It is what it is. Give me 1 second. Numeral. What is it? What's that? I don't even know. I should know this one, but I don't. And it is what it is. I'm reading it to y'all though. 11. Okay, yeah. 11. I was gonna say 10, but it's 11. Gotcha. I should have known that. X is 10. I'm tripping. Anyway, okay. So Polk says he, along with Jordan and his 2311 racing co-owner Denny Hamlin, have discussed how to implement changes and introduce new concepts to the world of NASCAR. Michael and I could add a lot of info we've learned from being with the NBA for many years and also owning a Major League Baseball team. He told Sports Business Journal. So that's what we've been working on a lot with Denny, is to help educate him as to what a better economic model might be and to help develop that. And hopefully we'll have a lot of ears that will listen to us. The reaction to this idea are all over the map. Some racing fans think it has potential, while others are much more skeptical of the approach actually bearing fruit. What the heck? I could have swore there was some man, it's so annoying, guys. Give me a second. That's so weird. Hold on, let me see something. Because I could have swore there were like tweets right here. Let me refresh this. My computer's been kind of acting a little jitty, but it's all good. Y'all growing with me. Y'all seeing what's happening. It's all gravy. We're gonna be all right. There we go. Okay. The reaction to this idea are all over the map. Some racing fans think it has potential, while others are much more skeptical of the approach actually bearing fruits. Robin Racing says, I feel this is well overdue. The people objecting to it because the NBA is mentioned are so short-sighted and completely miss the point. Kevin McAdams says, personally, I'd love to hear how he thinks that could work. Ancestors, I need your help right now with this technology. please. All right. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you. Thank you. Dean's trying to fuck with your boy, but we ain't stopping. All right. Okay. Let's go. All right. Now, mind you, the first time I seen it, it never showed like this. It showed like the first time, so it's just so annoying. But whatever. Okay. Personally, I'd love to hear how he thinks that could work. Thinking outside of the box could be a fantastic thing for the sport when teams are so heavily reliant on those sponsors' money. Um. Right. Somebody says 2311 Racing changing the game. This is a great plan. Now produce a product people actually want to watch. Making NASCAR like the NBA model is insane. Sponsors are tradition. Media contracts equal. They have veto power over everything. Watching NASCAR sell out their fans and head down the road to woke hell. Interesting. What about the tracks? Many of them depend on the TV money, especially now with low ticket sales. Say goodbye to Indy if tracks lose their cut. Interesting. According to the Sports Business Journal, NASCAR teams currently have to rely on sponsorships for 75% of their revenue. Of the money earned on a given race, 65% of it goes to the track, 25% goes to teams, and 10% goes to the sanctioning body. We'll see if Jordan's proposals gain any traction in the upcoming years. Interesting. So, my take on this right now, considering all these comments and just considering so here's my initial thoughts, right? Excuse me. And I'm not necessarily a NASCAR fan, guys. I've watched NASCAR. I am into racing though, so I definitely want to see NASCAR get more traction. Even though I don't watch it like that, I know that at some point in my life I probably will get into watching it again. But I've more so watched more F1 racing before in the past, or if anything, motorcycle racing with Valentino Rossi and them. I got to see Valentino Rossi when he was really big, when I lived with my father overseas when I was younger. That's also what made me a soccer fan before a basketball fan, right? Inter Milan or whatnot. But anyway, one of the things I think about when it comes to this whole situation is pretty much, uh, what I think about when I think of baseball. And it's really interesting to know that Michael Jordan is involved with the baseball situation. I need to look into that. I should have known he was involved in that. I had a feeling. I think I did know, but I'm not aware of his current status in regards to that. But apparently he must be a co-owner into that as well, because obviously Michael Jordan's a big head honcho. He's not going to get involved if he can't be a co-owner or co-partner in some capacity, right? And we already know about his current success with the Charlotte Hornets. So that's another thing to recognize is that now to be fair and objective, I don't know how long he's been a co-owner, but apparently it's recent. So that's the benefits of having a winning team, right? Even the Charlotte Hornets, we see their journey right now. They're still kind of like in the bottom rankings. They're like in the 8th and 9th seed still. I believe I don't know that they're like in the 9th, 10th seed or something like that. The 9th seed, I think, something like that. They're still they've heavily progressed since LaMelo Ball and since they've been able to develop the team since him joining them, right? For these 2 years. So, this is one of the benefits of having a team that's in the news articles, and it kind of gives credit to your work and investment, which then leads to potential opportunities moving forward for you to be in more other situations, right? And they'll trust your involvement and potential, wisdom coming to the situation if you've had success before. We all know that. But what I'm really curious about is, like I said, the baseball situation, because they need that help as well. And obviously, he's already helping them with baseball. So I wonder how he's going to be helping baseball people. But in regards to this NASCAR situation, I think it's interesting because they don't mention specifically what kind of models he wants to enter. But he did say that he's basically talking about content, right? Because where does it say, right? According to Jordan's financial advisor, Curtis Polk, his airness wants to help NASCAR teams become less reliant on sponsors, right? Less reliant on sponsors, and find revenue through additional avenues such as media. So basically content. Now, to me, that rings the bell that I thought about when it came to baseball, right? Because to me, the whole issue with baseball is that, you know, you know, I feel like there's just not enough storytelling going on. Like when you think about basketball, there's just a lot of storytelling. There's a lot of stories because we know the players' stories. When you know the players' stories, there's a lot more drama because you're able to have rivalries. You're understanding, who they played against before in the past, and then it amplifies you experiencing their journey and their ups and downs, right? Because you're able to see that you're able to follow their journey, and it makes it a lot more intriguing in the long run. And with baseball, I feel like they're missing that. And of course, every sport has media, right, where they do player interviews and stuff. But I think the reason why basketball is so popular is because of the infusion that they've been able to do with the sport, the players, and the culture of today, and them enabling for players to implement the culture into the sport in some capacity. You know what I'm saying? Um, Football even struggled with that, and they just got on that after taking a major loss. Of course, there's like football loyalists, but football took a major loss. They're not going to talk about it. It probably won't be talked about for a couple years, or as far as it being reported, actually, like the actual facts of how much money they probably lost is under big wraps. They're not talking about it. But football lost a lot of money over the past 5 to 6 years. They've lost a lot of money, guaranteed. And that's why you start to see those adjustments happen where they allow players to do things because they realize they had to adjust. Period. Okay. Um, and I feel like baseball is looking for similar assistance. They need some type of help with that. And I think that's their main issue when it comes to baseball is how can you tell the stories of the players better, and how can we better market and follow the stories of these players? Like who's promoting, like who's promoting the baseball leagues, the independent baseball leagues, the AAU baseball leagues. Who's covering that? Of course, they have certain games on media, but which, as far as online media, there needs to be more coverage because when we think about basketball, obviously basketball has always been popular, but I feel like a big sign of like the Ball family was what makes them so big and why this generation of basketball is so different and so unique and so followed, right? Like when you have teams like the Houston Rockets, even though the worst team in the West right now, they're still interesting to watch because of who they have on their team. Michael Porter Jr. Kevin Porter Jr., Jalen Green, and the boy Josh Christopher, right? So that's a beautiful combination of kids that we can watch grow, even if they're losing, right? But it's because of the media that allowed us to follow their journeys, right? So who's doing that for baseball kids right now? I don't see those channels out there for real. They're probably videos of the games being recorded, but are there videos of the players being talked to and short clips being made about their game that day? Not really. What about NASCAR? Does that even exist for NASCAR? We don't know. So when you think about something like Michael Jordan talking about media, I think that's what he's talking about. How do we tell the stories of the sport in the incremental versions of the sport that exists before the main event? And how do we better tell the stories of the main event sports, of the main event league, which is NASCAR, right? Because as we know, NASCAR racing in general has multiple leagues under it, before the head honcho races and stuff like that. I'm not an expert on NASCAR, but I know that's a part of it, the process to a degree. So this is very interesting. Some of the comments were interesting as well. This one right here really made me think. Let me see. Um, let me see, which one was it? This one right here. No. Now I understand. Let me see this. So this guy says making NASCAR like the NBA model is insane. Sponsors are tradition. Media contracts equal. They have veto power over everything. Watching NASCAR sell their fans, etc., etc. Okay, so um, basically what this fan is trying to imply, what they think is that if the individual sponsors of the teams and the cars go away, and only media is the main sponsor for NASCAR, then basically, ESPN could tell NASCAR, hey, we don't want you to allow this anymore, even though the fans like it, and NASCAR will have to listen because they're their main sponsor now because of media coverage or whatever, right? Or financial money. And so now there's no more independence in the because, like I said, NASCAR has a bit of an independent feel before the main races, like Talladega or whatever. It's kind of got, there's levels to you reaching a certain race. You have to qualified through multiple races and things of that nature. So, um, but I don't think that NASCAR will lose its independence because the NBA model has adapted the European model of sponsorships, which is similar to NASCAR, which is sponsors supporting individual teams versus one sponsor like a Spalding supporting every team, which could have multiple control, right? Or Jordan brand or Nike or whatever. Nike doesn't sponsor every team; they sponsor every team's jerseys. That's the difference. You see what I'm saying? Um, them being the sponsor of every team. Every team had their own individual sponsors, and the jersey sponsors are just the jerseys, right? That's the production deal that the league made. So it has nothing to do with the teams individually, actually, right? So in actuality, I think he's kind of misquoting it because the reality is that the NBA model is an adjustment to more independence, actually, which is the European model from soccer, which you have one team that has multiple sponsors. So they're not relying on one sponsor or one particular, influence from the league, which is important. So, I actually think that it could be a good thing, right? Because, but I think they're misseeing it because they're looking at it from the sponsorship level when in reality, Jordan never said that he was trying to take away sponsorships, right? He never said that he wanted to dim sponsorships or stop, sponsorships from actually being able to, have a presence, right? What he said is he wants to, end quote, he wants to help NASCAR teams become less reliant, which means dependent, aka codependent, on sponsors and find revenue through additional means extra, not only, additional avenue with the S, right? Such as media, right? So, it's not about taking away the sponsorships power or their participation. It's about adding extra flexibility for those teams and ultimately then the league through additional revenue such as media, for which would then be, like I said, individual teams creating their own media outlets, right? Like NBA teams are still developing this, for crying out loud. I mean, we noticed this last year, or I think it was 2020 really. I noticed in 2020 where we started seeing teams, I think this was in the beginning of the bubble, right? Right before the bubble happened, but the bubble really amplified it. Okay. But basically we saw teams and really not before it was actually before the bubble. It was because it was the early stages of COVID and fans weren't coming to the games, right? And what I noticed was a lot of these NBA teams started to really hone in on their YouTube pages and their YouTube videos and blogs. That's what I noticed. And you had teams like the Dallas Mavericks or the Grizzlies who really invested in their YouTube blog for their teams. And I'm sure it's paid many, many dividends up until now. Certain teams didn't take advantage of it like we wanted them to, like the New Orleans Pelicans when Lonzo was with them, right? They didn't take full advantage. They tried a little bit, but they didn't fully invest like they could have invested. But they were still one of the teams that did invest somewhat. But there were other teams that did a way better job, personally, on actually investing in the blogs for their teams, like the Houston Rockets, I think, as well. And but definitely the Dallas Mavericks were one, and the Grizzlies were one that I noticed were had very significant um, YouTube adjustments. And Chicago Bulls did it a little bit early during the season when Lonzo signed. But yeah, the Grizzlies to me were the most consistent in the Dallas Mavericks from what I witnessed. In the Brooklyn Nets as well. Even though Kyrie and them weren't there, the Brooklyn Nets, they dived into it pretty deep as well. Right. So again, this is pretty interesting. And I think it's all leading to, again, a way for us to learn the blueprint of really involving and getting involved in business and seeing it on a higher level and how you can add value. It's all about adding value, right? In your own way, and bringing that experience and perspective and open-mindedness and out-the-box thinking. And I think it's really cool to see the leagues interacting and learning from each other. So it's a really interesting time that we're in right now because leagues are learning from each other and they're learning from each other's advantages and challenges. And I think this is one of those examples because we all know that NASCAR has been dealing with these challenges for a while, just like baseball. So here's MJ getting involved in both sports, trying to help out We know that he played baseball. He obviously must have a passion for NASCAR to be involved. And I think it's definitely not just a business opportunity, but you could definitely fall in love with the sport for the money too, if you're at that high of a level. You know what I'm saying? But it just may take away from some of your insight because it might just be about money. But I don't think that's the case with Jordan. I think he does have a passion for NASCAR naturally, which should help him with his idea transitions in regards to implementing some of his ideas from baseball and basketball to NASCAR, and hopefully helping them out. And what's even better about it is that he has his own brand. So some of the tactics that he may want to implement that they may not want to implement straight away as an entire league, he can implement specifically with his team and his brand. And if there's an impact seen statistically or with the data, then the league overall can implement it, and he'll get that credit, right, as being a pioneer. So that's how it goes sometimes, and that's what it is. So, not going to stay on this too deep. Just wanted to bring you guys this quick news. I think it's a story that we should definitely keep our eye on in regards to the developments and how it could spread into the league, different leagues in general, and how we can see sports kind of evolve overall, right? 'Cause I think most of us, like for example, with because the game, life is changing all the time, games are changing all the time, sports are changing all the time, right? Basketball, they implemented the coaches challenge, and now it's almost as if the coaches challenge was always there, because it was always there, but it was in our minds. But now it's actualized, right? And eventually they'll probably have more than one coaches challenge, right? um and that's how it goes. Sports change and they evolve and they learn from each other. Basketball, again, the bubble, right? I think everybody kind of had a feeling and had a little hunch that when we saw them with those big wide screens on the bubble, in the bubble courts, even though we hated the fact, some of us hated the fact that fans couldn't be there because of the masks and all that stuff going on, we did enjoy those big screens, right? And I had a feeling, just like I'm sure a lot of you did, that those screens were going to find a way to stick around, and they have. They found a way to keep those screens around in some capacity in different stadiums. I mean, different arenas and things of that nature. So games are always evolving, and it's cool to see Michael Jordan in the middle of some of these changes. So just a quick news break for you guys. Nothing too crazy, but very, very interesting indeed. And we're going to keep our eyes on that for sure. All right, guys. So, guys, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment on this video. Let me know what you're thinking. What's your opinion on this? Do you think Michael Jordan will have a good impact on the league of NASCAR? What are your thoughts on him getting involved? Do you think it's just for the money, or do you think it's because he actually has a passion, to help uh, them grow? And because he likes the sport. What do you think? Let me know, and yeah, I'll get back to you. Okay. Now you guys know how I like to end it off. Okay. If you're going through anything, any struggles, any depression, any dark thoughts, don't give up, guys. Don't give up. Anything is possible. Doesn't matter what you're going through, the pain you're feeling. Life, life is truly an abundant gift. Sometimes it's hard to feel that way, but it truly is an abundant gift. You just gotta keep believing and keep going and keep seeing the truth in front of you. Okay. And I don't care if you got one lung. If you're still breathing, you still got a fucking shot, man. All right. Like I said, sometimes it's hard to remember that, but that's why you have things like the suicide prevention hotline. You need somebody to talk to, air out your thoughts. And what's crazy is, like, you have people in this world, man. And it's a beautiful thing, because I used to be one of those people, and I still am one of those people. I've never actually called this hotline, right? But I've thought about it before. And the point I'm making is that I always thought I would never be a person to even need to call this hotline. But in life, sometimes things happen, man. And like I said, even though I've never called them, I've come pretty close. But luckily for me, I've had different things help me stay uh, my spirit team, my ancestors, my grandmother and my grandfather, and my cousins and my uncles that I know and that I don't know, who have passed on. And the divine prophets have helped me spiritually, aka Yeshua, aka Jesus Christ, right, aka Muhammad. The teachings, learning in different ways have helped me continue to stay on my path that I've always been on, and just remember how strong I am. And sometimes that's all you need is a reminder. And sometimes, if you can't give it to yourself, guys, something like the suicide prevention hotline can really help you. Don't feel ashamed. Don't feel embarrassed. Most people are going through these things, but they're so embarrassed about other people's opinions and judgments and isolations that they'll refuse to acknowledge their own internal pain, which can make it worse. And so sometimes facing the darkness within, and accepting that these are thoughts that you have, enable you to figure out why they're even there in the first place, and you're able to make healthier decisions. Okay, so there's nothing wrong with it. If you're going through it, guys, just call this number, please. It's better than taking your life and waking up in darkness, or waking up in in a situation where your soul's in bondage in some capacity, or you're, let's say, in another life and even more sad than this one. Okay, you always have a choice, and this life is meant for us to truly live and create. They stole that from us when they lied to us and indoctrinated all of us, but we're waking up from that and we're creating our liberty day by day, independently, day by day, as a new people of society. So don't give up, guys. It's a beautiful world we live in. Call this number if you're feeling dark thoughts, and like I said, doesn't matter where you are right now, homeless, struggling, one lung, one finger, missing an arm, one leg, missing two legs. If you're still breathing, even if you're struggling breathing, if you can see, even if you can't see, if you can hear, even if you can only hear a little bit, you still got a shot to be happy and define the meaning in your life, to help others and to help yourself. It's possible. It's there. Don't give up. Keep going. All right. So that's it for this video, guys. If you would like to support the channel, please send to this cash app right here. All donations will go to helping this channel progress further and finding better content and better everything. All right. But it's all, if you got it, it's all love regardless, because we're doing this for the passion of it and the culture of it. Okay, guys. So without further ado, man, we're done with this one. Peace and love. It's your boy Kid Max, and I'm out. In the cut, sips tea. Peace. I'm out.